Hey, good day of Shabbos. Welcome to a Mayanot moment. This week's parsha is Parshas Va'era. We're in the second parsha of Chumash Shemais, which deals with the descent of the Jews into Egypt and their ultimate redemption from it. We know that everything that we learn is not just what happened once upon a time, but the question is, how do I apply this and how do I make this real and relevant into my life today? So let's take a look at the parsha for a minute and see what lessons we have that we can take for ourselves. This week's parsha talks about, in the great majority of it, is the plagues in Egypt. And I'd like to focus on the first of the plagues, which is the plague of blood, of dam, and how it applies and what kind of insight we can get into our lives from the distinction between blood and water. When we talk about water, we always think of it as life-giving, thirst-quenching, all those kind of nice words. And blood we think of as anger, my passion rising. It always seems to have this negative connotation. The Rebbe gives an alternate explanation here, which I think is interesting and worth exploring for a minute. When we talk about the flip side of water is that it's cold, it's analytical, it flows, yes, and it's life-giving, yes, but it's that detached sense of, I'm just back, I'm not so involved, I can analyze the situation, I can really coolly, analytical, and that type of attitude. Whereas blood, we get heated up, we get our blood pumping, we get passionate, and that, the Rebbe tells us, is a good thing. It's a good thing for us to be passionate and not so terribly analytical all the time. Yes, we need to be analytical for some things, but when we're strictly analytical, we strictly can sit back and be cool and reserved, then something's missing. Something's missing in our life, something's missing in our attitude, something's missing in our relationship with God. If it's something that we can so coolly sit back and relax and analyze and define and delineate. What's the first plague telling us? That when we're in a situation, we're in a circumstance, that our nature is perhaps to say, how do I think about this? Not what do I feel, but what do I think, and what do I intellectualize, and how do I conceptualize? The Rebbe says, take some time and put in some passion. It's not enough for you to just be cool and reserved and objective about everything. We need to be passionate, we need to be involved, we need to be enthusiastic about something. And if we're not going to be passionate and enthusiastic about the good things that we do in life, about our relationship with God, about our relationship with other people, then our passion's going to get dispersed someplace else, and it's going to be used for something else. So when we take a look at our lives, we take a look and say, where in my life can I maybe, perhaps, put some more blood in it? Where there's a situation that I'm perhaps very water-like. For example, do I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is water-like flip on my computer and check my email and check the news and find out what's happening in Bangladesh? Or is the first thing that I do say, thank you, God, that I'm alive, that I have another day, another opportunity to be on this world, to do good for you, to do good for other people, to do good for the rest of the world. When we look at our lives, when we look at the options, when we look at the choices that we make, I want to give us all a blessing that this week that talks about the plagues, that talks about the opportunity and the advantage of putting some passion and some blood and some enthusiasm into our cold, analytical lives, we take the time to look around and say, what can I do? How can I do this a little bit more blood-like? How can I take this attitude? How can I take my relationship to my parents, to my spouse, to my significant other, to the world at large, and say, I want to do this with more passion, with more fire, with more of that Mayanot. Have a good Shabbos.